Jerks. Been a busy couple days, last 24 hours, anyways. It's been kind of busy news and what's going on over here, too, at the Young Jerks. Gonna have a lot of coverage upcoming. Let's just put it that way. We're working on a lot right now. Tonight, we're hoping to get the Canton police chief public meeting tonight that they're supposed to have at 7 p.m. And it's supposed to be streaming on Canton Community TV and on cable if you live in the town of Canton. So I have it up here in the window. We're just waiting for it to come up live. As soon as it does, we'll stream. We're gonna stream away tonight. I wanted to talk about Kelsey tonight. I want a lot more I want to get into. I'm definitely gonna get into Kelsey tomorrow night heavily, but I figured I can't miss this. I got to stick with Canton tonight. We'll be back to Kelsey tomorrow. There's a lot going on. Friday too. There's just we. I'm very excited about the coverage and what we're doing here as a community with the jerks. So let's see. I think this might be on. Is it on? Are they starting the public comment? Yes. Looks like we're live. Let me turn on the volume. Looks like they're live over there. And this is Canton Community Television that's broadcasting this. This is the police chief survey page. They got the website up. You can do a survey right now. I like that they put that up. They've been promoting that. But we're expecting very soon they're going to have a live community forum about the Canton Police Chief search there. So I figured we'd go live tonight and try to stream it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't when it's live on their stream. So we'll see what happens tonight. We have it up, and I'm gonna check the other windows too right now just to see. Sometimes it gets wonky and ends up on a different channel over there. So I'm just gonna check a couple of them, make sure that we're not missing it if it is happening. I think it is happening. I think it's gonna happen. They're pretty good over there. Let's check this one. Okay, looks like they're all the same. So I think we're good. Good deal. So we're just waiting for that to start. Usually it takes a couple minutes. You may have seen today, Kelsey had some paperwork filed against her. Kelsey Fitz Simmons, her boyfriend Justin, filed some paperwork to claim home equity in her home that's either been sold or is being sold to cover child support payments, which seems very strange to me. I'm no lawyer, but usually don't you have to be behind in child support before someone kind of sues you about it? And it seemed like there was a lot of assumptions in it too. Like I understand he's going for sole custody, but what happens in a year from now if she's found innocent, dude? You know what I mean? So like, don't put your apples before your cart or whatever that saying is. It seemed very strange. It seems like it's vindictive to me. I don't know this guy. I don't want to cast aspersions on him or pretend I know anything about it. It just seemed the timing of that paperwork being filed today while she's back in jail. I don't know. It just seems, geez, wow, you're really kicking somebody when they're down. Where, I look at like that other woman that killed her kids, and the way that husband, the Clancy case, the difference here, it just, you could tell one person cares about their spouse and the other one doesn't. There we go. It looks like it's starting. So I guess I'm going to shut up. There were some reports she had some alcohol issues, but I don't know if it could be considered a drinking problem. I think we're going to hear a lot more. This is what people are asking me to prove her innocence right now and all this other stuff. I'm not here to prove her innocence. I'm here to follow this and see where it leads. I just, from what I know on and off the record, I think this is going to be like Karen Reed. As we go along, I think we're going to find out more and more. So Kelsey Fitzsimmons, like I said from the beginning, Martha Coakley just doesn't get involved for no reason. Just keep that in mind. The Attorney General's involved, and Tim Bradle isn't. I gotta say, Tim Bradle. I love Tim Bradle, and Tim Bradle. I'm just saying, something is afoot. Trust me on Kelsey Fitzsimmons. And the big thing is like what Betterow always says, and everyone else always says. She doesn't have to prove she's innocent. The burden is on the state. They have to prove that she did what they allege. And I think they're going to have a very difficult time doing that. And I think we'll find out why as the court hearings progress and the trial, if they have a trial against her. And we'll all be there watching. I don't know what's going on over here. There's no sound so far. Is this... Can anyone hear any sound? Did they forget to turn on the sound? Or is it us? What's going on over here? I'm not hearing any sound over here. Huh. Are you guys hearing sound from the this forum that they're holding over here? I'm not hearing it. Let me maximize it a little bit too. Okay, you're only hearing me. It is live TV. Sometimes they forget to turn on the sound. 'Cause, yeah, we have the sound all the way up. Maybe they just haven't started the with the microphones. Let's hope. This might be a dud. Looks like maybe they haven't started yet. Let's hope. I wanted to be on a couple minutes tonight. They just let the stream speak for itself, but now there's no sound. I know. We're not hearing. I know. Try to maximize it again, see if it looks like they're actually speaking into a microphone. Yeah, it does look like they're speaking.
Yes, it is.
Here we go. All right, I'm out of here, folks, for a little bit. I'll be back. They
What's
got
that?
the sound on.
It's not here. We can still do it anyways.
So this is
All right.
a search for the
We'll get
police
started.
chief. Community meeting. I'll be back
All
in a
right.
little bit later.
Good to go? Okay, let's get going. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming to the public listening session for the hiring process for the new police chief. Before we get started, I would just ask that you rise and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance and pretend the flag is usually where it is over here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Just a note before we start. Exits, if the fire alarm goes off and we need to evacuate the room, you get exits down here at the front, and then, of course, the way you came in. If anyone has a emergency, a medical emergency, we have a police officer detailed in the back. Please flag him down, and we will get you help. All right? So, as part of the police chief hiring process, one of the things that the board was very insistent upon was input from our residents on what they would like to see in the next police chief. And we're trying to accomplish that through two methods. First, we have the survey that we've put out publicly, and we have a good response with the survey. So if you haven't taken it, you can take a picture of the QR code and fill it out, which is great. And then, of course, a public listening session to give residents the opportunity to come down and verbalize what they would like to see in the next police chief. And we have Russ Stevens with us tonight. Russ is our consultant with PSC, and he is going to be managing the process, the long process and involved process and the transparent process for the hiring of the new chief. So he's very interested to hear what you all have to say, if you'd like to contribute some feedback to us about what the next police chief, what qualities the next police chief should have. So before we go to the microphones, I'd like to ask Assistant Town Administrator Jen Chameleon to come up, and she is going to kind of give you the highlights of what this process entails, what Russ and his team will be doing to hire this next chief. So Jen, she loves to speak publicly. She couldn't wait for this opportunity. So here you go.
Thank you, Charlie. For those that you that don't know me, my name is Jen Chameleon. I'm the Assistant Town Administrator. Just going to take a few minutes to go over the recruitment process with you. As Charlie described, the Select Board has engaged with public safety consultants to help us out with the recruitment process. And they have over 20 years of experience in the executive police recruitment, and they are considered specialists in the recruitment and assessment centers for police chiefs. As far as the timeline is concerned, the position was advertised for over 30 days. The posting closed on September 15th, and we were fortunate enough to attract a pool of candidates from across the region. The first phase of the recruitment process is community input and resume review. So this listening session, coupled with the survey that we made available to the public, will provide input on the community's priorities and expectations of the next police chief. And we feel that that's important so that we can have the candidates aligned with the community's priorities and expectations. PSC will be reviewing the applications to ensure that the candidates are meeting the minimum qualifications. That's the next step. Then the second phase of the recruitment process will be written essay questions. Qualified candidates will be required to respond to some essay questions, and that is to assess their written communication skills and also to evaluate how candidates will address challenges specific to Canton. The third phase will be the oral interviews. Will be conducted by PSC, and the focus on the oral interviews will be public speaking ability, professional demeanor, and communication style and presence. The fourth phase is the assessment center. So this is where the finalists will actually participate in some role play scenarios, and those will be designed to simulate actual leadership challenges that the police chief will face. And that will highlight how the candidates think, lead, and interact while under some pressure. The final phase is the public interviews and background checks. So the top candidates will be presented to the Select Board at a public meeting. They will be publicly interviewed. The Select Board will choose the final candidate. And then the final candidate will be given a conditional offer that's subject to contract negotiations, a psychological evaluation, medical examination, and comprehensive background check. And that is the process.
Thank you, Jen. I forgot to mention that this is being videoed by Canton Community Television. Thank you very much for coming. And it will be available on their website at some point in the next week or so, I would imagine. So, that being said, this is the meat of the program, and we are asking folks in the room if you'd like to get up to a microphone and give some feedback on about what you'd like to see, the qualities you'd like to see, the initiatives you'd like to see from our next police chief. So feel free to, town meeting style, go to the mic and I will recognize you and we will listen to what you have to say. Not everybody at once. Yeah, you could do it. Yes.
Hello. Two questions. One, I want to know what the assessments, the role playing, what does that look like? Could you give an example? Yeah.
So assessment centers often have role play scenarios where the candidate will be put into a scenario that he or she might face in their position as chief. So for example, if you had to meet with the union president about a labor issue within the department, which can be contentious, the assessor can set up a scenario where you've got a contentious union president coming in and making demands of the fire chief, making accusations, and then the assessors would sit and watch how the fire chief reacted to that scenario, how they handled it, did they handle it professionally, did they keep the temperature down, and then that candidate would get a rating based on the criteria set forth for that particular assessment. That's one example. There are many, many scenarios.
Thank you. And then the other question, what did we learn from the surveys? I don't know.
Well, we are still getting them,
Oh,
so we
okay.
really haven't gone through all the data yet. And we'll probably do that next week when we cut them off, I believe, is it Wednesday? Next Wednesday at 5 o'clock, I think, is the cutoff date for the surveys. So once we get them in, I think we've got about 150 so far. So once we get those, we'll start to cull through that data and pull out the pertinent points for our consultant. You're welcome. Hi, Rita.
Hi, Rita Lombardi. I'd like to follow up on what Trish asked, because that's a question I have as well. And maybe it's Russ, I'm not sure. But a lot of organizations are doing competency-based interviews and skill-based interviews. And so in those scenarios, they will ask the person being interviewed, tell me about a situation when. And they're looking for the specific, what they did. They're looking for specific information. And a lot of candidates, you know, the way people did interviews before, they go in and they tell a story. Now, this type of interview really hones into how, you know, what their competencies are. And they really can't fake it, because when they're asked these questions, they need to recall a situation in which they did the behavior as opposed to role-playing. And I'm just wondering if that would be part of the interview process, because that is critical, in my experience, in bringing in the right candidates.
Yep, it's a great question. Russ, jump in if I'm saying anything wrong, but I believe that the interviews would definitely have competency-based questions. The evaluation of skills oftentimes comes through the assessment center evolutions, but the interview itself, definitely, I would say, competency-based for sure. Russ?
Absolutely. It's a good question. So each one of the scenarios has requirements that we call them dimensions. So it's a scoring dimension. We look at oral communication skills, interpersonal skills, adaptability, judgment, police ethics. So each scenario has dimensions that will be scored. So in your case, what you're looking for is, tell me in real life what you've done. And that is actually one of the scenarios that we do. The assessors go in blind, and what I mean by that is candidates are issued fictitious names. The assessors don't know anything about the candidate's background. They get graded on what they say and what they know based on their knowledge. Give me the facts, give me what you know. What do you do in real life right now in your current position as a current chief, as a deputy chief, as a captain? Tell us about that. So we look at a variety of things, and Charlie did a good job explaining, like, one of the scenarios could be a citizen meeting. You are the police chief in Canton, you're going to meet with a citizen group to discuss issues that the candidates have, that the citizens have. And the citizens, we actually get input from you all as to what are your issues in town, and we use those real issues. The role players use your real issues and see what the candidates give us for responses. Based on their experience, any good candidate's going to know the town. What went on in the town, what's going on in the town, what your budget is, how big your police department is, you know, what are the common problems in Canton? And they're going to know what a police chief in your size department does. Police chiefs, although we wear stars, they're different depending on the community. You know, a police commissioner in Boston has different roles of responsibility than a police chief in Canton. So they're going to know about these issues, and they're going to show that. The vetting process, by the time we get done, hopefully have 4 good candidates who go to the assessment center. When they go through the assessment center, they're being assessed by qualified chiefs who are trained to do assessing. These are chiefs that have done assessing over and over and over again. And we know when someone knows this stuff and when they don't. And the grades are different. There's a checkoff sheet for every scenario too. They have to meet these bullets. And that tells us whether they know this stuff or not. You're welcome.
I do have another question.
Sure, go right ahead.
As long as nobody's at the mic, I'll
Yeah.
ask.
Yeah.
Anybody wants a mic, just come up. So I see the greatest challenge that we have had is, and I'm not an expert in this, I'm from the private sector, but it's the civil service, and I don't know what the new police chief can do or not do about civil service, and I think that puts towns, cities, whoever, especially towns, maybe not cities, but when you have a town the size of Canton, and you have civil service, and you have people either living in the town, born and raised, all coming up, we put them in situations, or that type of process puts them in situations that compromises their objectivity. And I don't know if, I know we're looking for the police chief, a new police chief, but I would be interested to hear what the candidates would think about civil service versus not civil service, because I really think that has harmed us and put our people in situations that, weren't right. And you wouldn't have that in the private sector. You wouldn't have departments, companies that are friends and family. It's just, it doesn't make for a good structure. So I guess my question is, would we or are we considering an alternative to civil service, or is there a way to do it so that we don't end up with a department that's born and raised or living in Canton? It's too much togetherness, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's an interesting question, one for another time, I think, because we're trying to focus on what we're looking for in a police chief. But we've had lots of discussions about the benefits and drawbacks of civil service. And, truthfully, civil service was created to prevent nepotism, because you're scored, and it doesn't matter who you know or where you come from, it's your score is your score, and that's how you get a job. So, but I hear where you're coming from. It's a discussion that we certainly will continue to have as the process goes forward, and the board will continue to have. So, thank you.
And then Chief Perkins, whoever was involved in that hiring, I haven't yet had an opportunity to meet him, but I have seen some of the changes that he's done, and I'm over the moon with Chief Perkins. So whatever was done to get Chief Perkins, let's do it again.
Got it. Thank you. Mrs. Sweeney?
I just would like to see some more community involvement with the police. I feel like there's a disconnect, and I don't know who most of them are, and I've lived in this town for a very long time, and I just think the town is very fractured, and maybe if we found some kind of ways to improve community involvement in a good way with the police, we could move forward easier.
Yeah, I don't think anyone disagrees, Mrs. Sweeney. That's probably one of the most important characteristics that we'll be looking at in a candidate, is their ability to be out front in the community, conveying to residents all the good things that Canton police officers and the department is doing to try to kind of rebuild that trust in the community. So that is definitely one of the most important factors we'll be looking at.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Murphy?
Greg Murphy, Canton resident. First, I'd like to thank the town leadership for offering citizens this opportunity to provide input into this process, the hiring process. As a Canton resident, I believe our next police chief should be someone who understands that public safety is about more than just enforcement. It's about building trust, being transparent, making sure everyone in town feels respected and safe. For me, that means a chief who will do the following: spend time out in the community talking and listening to people, holding the department accountable and leading with integrity, ensuring our officers get good training in things like de-escalation and mental health, among the other required training that the state requires, working collaboratively with schools, social services, and other organizations, not just the police department, to solve problems, and finally, treat everyone fairly without bias. I think if we can find someone who leads with those values, we'll be in a good place as a community. This statement just represents the highlights of my thoughts on this topic, because I have to collect my thoughts. I start writing and I write them down. But I wanted to be a little short to be respectful for everybody here. But I do have information about questions we could ask, a checklist for how to go through it. So the committee is interested, whoever, the hiring committee, I know you have a professional organization already doing this, but if there's any interest in that, I'd be happy to write the letter formally and send it in. I just need to know where to send it. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. You can certainly email me that paper. I'd be happy to take a look at it and give it to Russ.
How you doing? Phil Glenn.
Hey, Phil.
Live with Rita.
Yes.
And, I can speak to this subject a little bit. I come from a family of cops. Weymouth cop, my father. Both my brothers retired state cops. I served in both military branches. My mother was the head of the Policemen's Wives Association. Integrity. I saw what went on in Weymouth as a grown-up, as a kid, coming from a single-parent home, spent most of his time in the police station. And I saw everything that went on. And I can't tell you, I can't stress enough the integrity this guy's got to have. He's got to be able to stand up and say, hey, everybody's accountable. I saw things in Weymouth that just weren't acceptable, that people don't know about. And I just hope that integrity is at the top of the list, and this guy's personal life comes into a factor as well, because he's got to be above reproach.
Yep.
That's all I have to say.
Yeah, thank you for that. And just so folks know, part of this process, of course, integrity is one of the most important characteristics that we're looking for, but part of this process is a comprehensive, thorough background check at the end of the final candidate. So when that time comes, they'll go through the background check process, and whatever is out there on them in social media and references and all that will be thoroughly vetted. So you can be assured that the person that we land on is going to be a quality individual.
Me again. So, in speaking of integrity and, procedures and standards, we need to make sure that the new police chief will hold people accountable. And we've seen too much in the last few years where people made mistakes, didn't follow procedures, and oops, okay, I didn't do it, but no consequences. And that's just not real world. We're Canton, we are Canton, and we need a police chief that represents us, like Chief Perkins. And if people don't do their job, we need them held accountable, just like if I don't do my job, I'm held accountable. And, so I'm hoping that the new police chief is able to get the respect that they need from the employees, the police, and also from the community, because that is paramount in this decision.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak? Questions? Members of the board? Anybody have anything? Yes. Yes, ma'am.
What I'm hearing, and I think, everybody knows, is that, it's not just Canton. Every week we hear something about some scandal with police. It's not limited to Canton, but Canton obviously has been in the news the last couple of years.
Yes.
But I think what we're saying, too, is that we need people who are trustworthy, and, and a lot of people are fearful of the police now. Not just in Canton, anywhere, whether it's state police or Haverhill or North Andover or wherever it may be. Everything's in the news, every single week. And, but what I think we need is, of course, somebody that we're going to trust or restore trust. And I think, like everyone's saying, is we need visibility. I've been in Canton a long time, and who I always knew was, Officer Kelleher on his motorcycle. You knew he was there, you saw him coming out of a driveway. I think you need that. And like someone said, we don't know who they are. They're passing by in dark windows. We don't even see who they are, okay, unless they're made a traffic stop or, God forbid, an accident, okay? And, I don't know whether we need a bike brigade or what we need, but we need, do we have a motorcycle cop? I used to like seeing Keller. He stopped me one time, but he was stern, but he was respectful. We need visibility. We need to see them, and like Brenda says, we need to know who they are so they know who we are. And I think it has to be on a, a one-to-one basis, too. It's not just, when you have an accident, and I had an accident last year, and they treated me well and stuff like that, both the fire and the police. But I think you need that human contact to build trust.
Yep.
And I don't know if we have a motorcycle cop anymore, but I
We
think
do.
yeah, I think he should be out there. I don't know who he is, right?
We have motorcycle police, we have bicycle
Yeah,
police.
maybe a couple of them, and like I
Yeah.
say, I don't know if we have a canine officer, or, but I think other than, maybe they do outreach to certain community groups or whatever, but just the average citizen, I'd like to see a motorcycle cop out there.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I don't know, I just think that, building relationships
No,
and
I think,
visibility.
yeah. I don't disagree. I think that's key. Visibility and building relationships is something we're definitely going to hone in on with our candidates. So thank you for that. Wait a minute.
Hi there,
Hi.
Emily Priggett. I would like to add on one additional comment about visibility. People have made really good comments and suggestions about that. One that occurs to me that I haven't seen in this town, I think, since I arrived 25, 26 years ago, are folks walking the beat. I'm not saying you have it everywhere at all times, but there are certain times and certain places that the police department, I'm sure, is aware of, where there might be a zone of, oh, it's an area of concern. Certain places, certain times of day. An officer or two can be deployed to walk through areas, and when you talk about visibility, when you talk about getting to know the residents and the residents getting to know the police officers, that's one way to do it. Somebody just saying hello, someone being able to ascertain, is someone not well? Is someone mentally unstable? Is someone drunk? Is someone harassing someone? Is this someone that we see all the time and that's how they always are? Or something is off today? Because they know that person. They know the person. Whereas if you don't know your residents, it's very easy to assume certain things that are going on. You might come upon, let's say, someone who's autistic or something like that, but you don't know that. But if you knew that person, then the police officer might be much more likely to treat that individual in a more caring and kind and appropriate way because they know that that person's, let's say, autistic. So I think part of policing should include walking the beat.
Thank you.
Thanks.
One more time, Ms. Lombardi.
I know, that's it. Phil's telling me that's enough. I would like to see the new police chief have the building welcoming. And I know that I was in the building before the black glass went up, and it wasn't welcoming. It was, it just wasn't. And I know that the police officers have to be a certain way, but if we could, have the police chief make people feel comfortable going in there to report an issue or to ask a question, and smile. A smile goes a long way. Simple stuff like that. If we could have the new chief, in addition to the standards and the policies and procedures, also help with soft skills with the police officers. I mean, some of them have it, but, there were many that did not. It could have been me, but I don't know. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. Any other thoughts before we adjourn? Any final words from the board? No pressure. Just didn't know if you want to say something.
I just want to say that I think it's a two-way street. So everyone has made some excellent points here. I think it's equally important that our officers feel supported and appreciated by their chief, particularly our younger officers who are just beginning their careers. They really need to feel respected and seen by our new police chief and by our community at large, to your points.
Thank you. Okay, well, some great feedback. Thank you very much for providing that. Great suggestions. Russ has been taking copious notes, so we will integrate some of the things that we heard here tonight in the assessment process and obviously the evaluation process of our candidates. So thank you all for coming. This is probably one of the most critical hirings in our town in a very long time, and we want you to know that we understand that, and we've put the process in place to honor that, and we will do the best we can to select the best candidate for all residents of Canton in a transparent way. So, thank you for coming. Stay safe, and we'll see you again. Meeting adjourned? Thank you.
They weren't, they weren't abuses. And again, usually those abuses are just
I didn't expect it to end that quickly. Jesus Christ. And they shut down Rita. They were like, no more Rita, no more Rita. A 35-minute community forum. I mean, that says it all right there. That's your fucking outreach. 35 minutes. Wasn't even 35 minutes. I don't even think it was because they started late. Yeah, it was 30 minutes. Are you shitting me? I mean, maybe rule number one is get somebody who knows how to get dialogue working. You know, somebody who knows how to do the everything they said. It was just like blah, blah, blah. Unbelievable. This is like embarrassing. Why even have a forum? Half hour. That's like I had to run back in here. I was like, holy shit, it's over. It's freaking over. Like, I'm like, I was like, right when it was ending, I was like 2 minutes before, I was like, oh, I'm going to redirect to Melanie. I see Melanie's live now. I didn't even have time to do it. It was over before I'm going to redirect us to Melanie. I wanted to even do a little more tonight, talk maybe about Kelsey tonight, but it ended so soon. I'm not even ready. So it just unbelievable. Ken is just such a friggin' joke still. And I think they're trying. Like, I like the fact that they're doing the survey. I like that they're doing a community forum. I like that they got this guy Perkins from the outside that seems like he's actually smarter than the rest. He's actually seems like he's doing the right thing. He got some community member support immediately. So I like it. I like some of the things going on there. But a half hour forum. You got to be shitting me, dude. Like, how about getting someone in there that knows how to actually facilitate dialogue? Somebody that makes people feel comfortable so they can actually get everything out. Half hour forum. Unbelievable. I'm shocked. I am shocked right now. I am just like, what the hell? All right, I'm going to redirect us. It took me a couple minutes to get there, but if anyone's still here, yeah, I'm surprised it wasn't packed too. But still, it's like they rushed through it, didn't they? Didn't they seem to rush through it? The way they were like, "That's it, Rita. No more Rita." Yeah, I guess Better has filed. 9 p.m. tonight, Turtle Boy's going over the Mega Motion. He was back on Howie Carr today. That's big news. That's great for me too. I'm so happy that Aiden went back on Howie Carr today, and he announced yesterday that him and Howie have talked and made up. I'm very happy about that. So that's good. Aiden was on Howie Carr today. He's going out live at 9 p.m. about this Mega Motion that Mark Betterow wrote. And I almost wonder if he's going to have Betterow on tonight. I think he hinted at that. I don't know. I don't know how he's going to do it, but he's going over this big motion in his own case, Aiden, tonight. So, and Melanie is live right now going over this new filing that the boyfriend. Go check that out. I'm going to end the show. Just redirect us over there. Let's do a jerks rate over there. Tomorrow night, I'm definitely going to be live. I'm going to be covering Kelsey a lot more. Some other things that I don't think people have discussed or looked into yet. And you know how we do it. I bring up things, and then all the other shows jump on it, and I love it. And I love to see that so many shows. Melanie was like the first one really hammering on it, and I've been hammering on it for a little bit, dripping more than anything else, but more getting involved in this Kelsey thing more recently. And now everybody is on it, and I'm happy about it. I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going to happen next week and the next weeks upcoming for all of this. So I'll see you over at Melanie Little. Have a great night, everyone. See you tomorrow night.